Hello and welcome back to the Bookshelf Odyssey. My name is Art, and today I have just a little bit of a reading wrap up of a couple things, some life updates, just kind of a chit chat video. I haven't been able to post one in a while. I'm not sure what has happened to us this year, but my family and I think we're beginning to think we're cursed or something. My wife got back from church camp. She was a counselor and she brought COVID home for all of us to enjoy. That's right, a second time this year, I got it again. Now, mine wasn't as bad. It was more of just like a head cold and just kind of mostly just body aches and stuff. So, certainly did not have anything too bad this time around, but it hit my wife pretty hard this time around. And we kind of flip flopped from how we were the last time earlier this year. And if you thought having COVID once in a year was bad, try having it twice. And I don't, I don't actually recommend that. But we got through that. I'm probably going to need to make sure I'm staying up on my vaccinations and all that because it's been a rough year with that. And then on top of everything else going on, life has just been real crazy lately with a lot of changes happening this year, and including one exciting bit of news. My oldest son has become engaged. He proposed to his girlfriend, so that was really exciting news for us. And we are so happy for them and can't wait to see how their life continues to come together. And he will probably be getting married. They'll probably be getting married next year, sometime in the spring, perhaps. But yeah, that happened. That was exciting. And then in the middle of all of this, my computer goes and breaks down, and it's pretty much I got to get a new one. And it turns out that the one I bought was actually a little bit. It was the same make and model, just a bigger screen, which I actually liked because I'm getting old. So so I can see better now. So I've just been using that. Had to reinstall everything and make sure the programs and all that was working right. It's just been an ongoing adventure this summer. And I'm really hoping that when September comes around, things are going to slow down for us. Okay. I mean, we're just like, all right, we are done. We're ready to, we're ready just to get off this crazy ride and settle down for a while. All that aside, I've been able to read some really great books this summer. I've thoroughly enjoyed. So I just want to share a couple of some of the books I've been reading. I won't go through all of them with you, but a couple of standouts for me I'll share. So first of all, one that I think was actually is going to be a life-changing book, and it's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And the subtitle is something about how you can unlock the secrets of sleep and reclaim the life you always wanted, which sounds really kind of like self-help, kind of mystical almost, and it really wasn't like that at all. The book was actually very scientifically based. And, the secrets to unlocking this power of sleep is that and how it helps you reclaim and claim the life you've always wanted is that you won't die from, being sleep depraved or heart attacks or Alzheimer's or something. All that aside, the book Why We Sleep is just a fascinating look at what sleep does for your brain and then also for your body, how it helps improve, your heart, its circulation, how your brain is basically getting cleansed and cleaned every night when you sleep. And the longer you sleep, the better it is for your brain. And by longer, he said he for most people he's hoping that they will at least just get a good normal 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep a night. Now, I struggle with things like insomnia and staying up late and anxiety and all that stuff that comes with that. And I know I don't have good sleep habits, and I don't sleep as long as I should. When I was younger, I felt like I could kind of get away with that, and for a while, I felt that 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night was enough. But now, after reading this book and seeing what some of the effects of lack of sleep can do on you, um, that certainly wasn't the case. I could survive it, but it's not good long term. And I'm really starting to see a lot of the effects of that right now in my life. So I really want to this book has really helped inspire me to really strive to make sleeping a priority, or not being afraid to take an afternoon nap if I can get away with it. And I've started to make a little bit of some of those changes, and preparing for bed better and all that. And I think I'm slowly starting to see uh, some of that damage be reversed a little bit. And mostly for me personally, it's the effects it has on emotions, and just being able to think clearly and stay awake, during the day. Another issue I have is I have sleep apnea. So that was part of the reason why I wasn't getting good sleep, and what little sleep I got was disrupted from my own snoring and choking, and the my wife says it's like I'll slowly just stop breathing and then suddenly jerk and breathe deeply, and then it slowly kind of trickles off, and then jump awake again, and you're doing that all night. It prevents you from actually getting into a deep and restful sleep. So we had that figured out a couple years ago, but still kind of an ongoing issue. Anyway, I really recommend this book. Some of it is science-based, some of it is still kind of speculative. So, take the good with the bad in that sense. But I think overall, he makes a lot of good points about the importance of sleep. And for me personally, realizing that sleeping is not a curse, or something that disrupts from my day, but sleep is a gift from God. Now, this book isn't a Christian book from in that vein. It's just something that I think God is teaching me about my need for sleep. That sleep is actually a gift. It's not a curse. And he brought up the point, like, if I sleep, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And he said, basically, if you don't sleep, you will be dead. And he pointed out how there were, another interesting part was he mentioned how there were some politicians who prided themselves on saying they only got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. And he mentioned like Ronald Reagan and Harriet Thatcher. And he said, is that, and ironically, maybe they both died, or they both developed Alzheimer's, which is there's a lot of connection between Alzheimer's and not sleeping well. Not, you can still get it, but you lower your risk of getting it if you're sleeping well. And that's really what a lot of that is, how it impacts your health, your heart. Even if you get cancer or not, you might still have those problems, but having good sleep decreases the likelihood that you will get those. And then he speculated how it would be great if insurance companies rewarded you for sleeping and sleeping well, like they do if you exercise and things like that. So a very thought-provoking book. I think it's one that's going to change a lot of what I'm currently doing in my life. Maybe it's the fact that, on August 18th, I'm turning 46 years old. So happy birthday to me, and actually happy birthday to this channel too. I, a couple of years ago, started it right after my birthday. So all that aside, I'm realizing, man, 50's coming, 60, I'm on the downhill side now. If I live to be 90, I've just kind of gotten over that peak, and knowing I need to make some life changes, or I'm never going to see 90. At least I won't be of any good quality of life. So it's kind of a wake up call there. And maybe this year's struggle with my health has been another kind of sign that it's really time to take some things seriously. So that was a great book I read this summer, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And then I did some reading for Jane Austen July, but it was a very, not really a whole lot of exciting things to report there. I read Mansfield Park. I finished it up that month. And again, I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Jane Austen. I read, and I think pretty much the TBR video I did, I read those books. I don't really have a lot to say about them. They were okay. Certainly this wasn't my greatest year for Jane Austen July. I have been doing the Garbaugust readathon, which last year I decided to read Victorian trash, the Penny Dreadfuls. Olly on his channel does hosts that, and there's a lot of other hosts, and it's a lot of fun. I personally don't like the trashy, like sexy kind of literature, but there are aspects of Garbaugust that I appreciate. And again, this isn't to be critical of those books. Sometimes they're just quick reads, fun reads. They're gloriously trashy. They're not highbrow literature. So I've gone with the really, I've read some media tie-ins. One was the first book in the Firefly book series. And that book was by James Lovegrove. And that was fun. I loved the show Firefly when it came out, and media tie-ins count as trashy literature. So that story was better than I think it should have been, but it was fun. And then I used to read Star Wars books quite a lot, and then it got to be so many, and I felt like the quality in writing was really going downhill. So I had kind of given up on that. And then when the sequel trilogy came out, it kind of retconned all of the books, and I just figured, you know what? Those are no longer canon, so I'm just not going to read them anymore. I wasn't really enjoying them. I like the TV movies and the TV shows and the movies much better anyway. But I did read Star Wars Brotherhood this month for Garbaugust, and it was by Mike Chen. And I love Mike Chen. He's a great writer. And so I was excited that he had written a Star Wars book, and I was really curious about it. And unfortunately, the book was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible, but it was just okay. I would have liked to have seen a little more action in it. It was more political, and the politics of Star Wars, not like political of modern times. And it was okay. It wasn't really anything I think I would want to revisit. And then a book I think was just meant to be read for Garbaugust. It's called Hunger on the Chisholm Trail by M. Ennenbach. This is part of a series of books published called Splatter Westerns, where they combine Westerns with horror novels. And I read one earlier this year that was just delightful. This one was good, not as quite as good as the previous one I read, and I can't remember what it was called, but I'll make sure to have the pictures up here. But here's what this book was about. The first cattle drive of the season leaves Texas for Abilene, Kansas, along the Chisholm Trail, but unforeseen terrors lie hidden in the natural beauty of the land. In the heart of Indian Territory lies the sleepy town of Duncan, a friendly respite from the dusty land. But something lurks in the untamed west, a powerful creature that hunts to satiate its horrifying hunger. The land will run red with blood, and only Carl Beck has a chance to stand against this ancient evil. So yeah, that was really fun. It was gross at part. This a couple characters died in some pretty horrific ways. So what I like about this is that you can have all the hallmarks of a fun Western without running into the idea, like if this were just a typical Western, probably some of the enemy hunting them would have been like Native Americans or something. So you can really avoid some of that unpleasant stereotypes and racist tropes and things. And just say the bad guy is this monster hunting us, and no worries about, and you can just have fun with that. And the author certainly does. If you like horror books and gore, this would be your cup of tea. There's a whole series of these where they combine different horror elements with Westerns. I think I heard about this on Criminale's channel. I'm not sure. It was one of the channels that, at least that or one that follows him. And I want to say there's about 12 or 15 books in the series, and each one is a standalone. I have weird tastes, I've realized. And I will be just as happy reading the Dickens novel as I am reading the Splatter Western novel. Like I said, I know this book is not for everyone, but what better month to read it than during the glorious days of Garbaugust? That, and then I think that's all I've really read for Garbaugust. Another book I was kind of surprised to enjoy. I read a collection of Garfield comics. This one was a volume one. It's called the Fat Cat Pack, or 3-pack. Jim Davis has, obviously he's been writing Garfield for 46 years now. So there's a lot of these. So I decided, for whatever reason, I was feeling a bit nostalgia. I went back and I bought the collection of his first 3 stories. And it's so funny how Garfield has changed over the years, just in the ways that Jim Davis has drawn him. Some of his humor is still the same. It's incredible that it's been able to continue on for so long as it has, and I'm glad. I think of some of my other favorite comics like Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes, and they ended after only about 10 or 15 years. And I wish they were still being written today. So that was a joy to revisit some books, some comic books that I have read back when I was a kid and just poured over and loved reading so much. And yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Definitely a 5-star read. I don't read a lot of comics lately, and I realized I've been missing out. Now, growing up, I wasn't a comic book reader like, Superman, Batman, all those. But I was a comics page reader, and I would love to read comics and like Garfield and Snoopy and for better or worse, Zitz was another favorite of mine. Calvin and Hobbes, like I said, the Far Side. I mean, Far Side was formational to my brain. Is that a word even? It defines who I am today and my sense of humor. I know it doesn't always come out in the videos, but definitely love Far Side. So yeah, I'm thinking I might want to revisit some of my favorite comics over the years, and Garfield kind of reignited an interest in that. Oh, one other Garbaugust book I read was called Breaking the Dark by Lisa Jewell, and it was about Jessica Jones, a Marvel superhero. Marvel looks like they're starting a line called Marvel Crime. Jessica Jones is a private detective. She struggles with alcoholism, and her character was a superhero in the past, but something happened to her that kind of just broke her. And so now she's barely hanging on and is a private detective, and a pretty dark and gritty story. And that's all I know because I've watched the Netflix series. I haven't read the comics or anything, but that's all I know from the Netflix series. This book, I think, connects more with the comic books than it does with the Netflix series, but it was pretty close to. I mean, I didn't find like I was out of place or anything. There's a couple of superheroes that make some cameos in the book, but it's mostly her solving this crime of some children have come back from vacation in a state of absolute perfection, and their skin is suddenly flawless. Everything they do is perfect, and so their mother hires Jessica Jones to find out what happened to them while they were on vacation. And that all ties into a bigger storyline that gets a little bit silly by the end, but it was really kept me reading through. I would read it at night before bed, and it was just a very compelling read. Maybe that's why I can't sleep. I gotta choose my books better. The character of Jessica Jones takes an interesting turn in the story, as well as the mystery itself was fascinating about how are we satisfied with who we are, and what damages have social media had on our teens and our kids about how everything is portrayed there as being perfect. And is that really an ideal we ought to strive for? And it also brings in a little bit of the portrait of what's his face? Dorian Gray. And so it brings in a little bit of the portrait of, or the picture of Dorian Gray as well, that kind of help explain the story and what's going on. So really interesting. If you like Marvel comics, you might be interested in this. It looks like, as I said, it's going to be a series. It looks like the next novel will be about Luke Cage. And then I think they're planning a Daredevil novel as well. I really enjoyed those Netflix series that came out. And I think Iron Fist was the other one. And then they all joined up together in the Defenders series. I will watch superhero movies all day long if you let me. That's kind of a subgenre I've really enjoyed. So that was another book I read for Garbaugust. And then just to round up some of my reading, a book called Episode 13 by Craig DiLouie was a really fun read. This was kind of like a found footage type novel about a TV show. And this is a horror novel, and it's about a TV show called Fade to Black, and they are a ghost hunting TV show. So the chapters follow each of the characters, like they're talking to the camera and they're making video diary entries or writing down entries, and they're trying to solve the mystery of this haunted mental institution. And people have disappeared there before. All the people and scientists of the past have disappeared. And part of the ongoing investigation into this haunting is we don't know if this is real or if they're being set up. And then about halfway through, it just goes bonkers, and I loved it. I was there for it. I listened to the audiobook, which I would recommend over the book version. I had started off with it in book form, but then I switched to audiobook, and that really improved the experience for me. The ending was bizarre. I won't spoil it for you, but it had a great ending that was in keeping with it as being a horror genre novel. Really, I don't know. It was good. So episode 13, the title ties in that this is the 13th episode of the series they're filming. And let's just say things go horribly wrong. So that's been some of my reading. I'd love to know how your summer reading has been going. What have been some of your favorites this summer? Just want to let you know that in about a month or so, we're going to start getting some videos for Victober. And I just love how Victober has become a part of my yearly celebrations. If I'm on the ball, I'll try to get some things recorded ahead of time for Victober. We'll see. All right. If you've made it this far through my rambling video, thank you for that. Make sure you like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. I'm at 720-ish. I'm really hoping to hit 1,000 this year. I might not because of some of the longer delays I've had with filming. So that's okay. It's just a number, but I'm grateful that so many of you have found this channel and continue to subscribe and follow me in my reading shenanigans. So thank you for that. You guys are the best. Until next time, take care and happy reading.